Damn, that was dope. That was dope. What's good, fam? Teacher Eddie back with another live stream. I know it's been a minute since I've done a live stream. That intro was dope, right? So today we're ranking superhero movies. So we're doing not just the current DCEU, MCU, but we're going back, right? As you can see on the screen, we got some oldies like 1989 Tim Burton's Batman. So we're going to be ranking a bunch of movies here today. As you all know, I am a nerd when it comes to comics, especially if you've seen my statue collection. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I posted a poll on the YouTube channel, and this is what you guys voted for. Some of the choices were greatest wrestlers, which I'm still doing because I'm a huge wrestling fan, and best picture winners. So I'm going to do all those. I'm going to try to do one of these live stream tier lists once a week because it's just a lot of fun for me, and I know a lot of you guys enjoy it. So let's see what the setup here today is. So this was not created by me, so don't complain if something's missing here. I'm pretty sure I'm going to find stuff that's missing that should be on here. But it looks like we got a good amount of movies on here. And they're going to be ranked from 10 out of 10 all the way down to 0 out of 10 or not seen. But I'm pretty sure there's nothing on here that I haven't seen, and I haven't seen probably multiples of times. So this is a mixture of DC movies, Marvel movies, and again, movies going back. I see even Supergirl is on here. That's going to be rough. That's going to be rough. Sorry, Supergirl. And as always, I'll be taking questions from the chat. If you have any questions, anything you want potentially for me to discuss, please feel free to add that. And of course, any super chats, donations, whether you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube, always appreciated. So I guess without further ado, let's get started. So first movie we have on the list here is Black Panther. So Black Panther, again, I'm going to try not to judge these on emotions, on nostalgia, because I do come from a different generation than most of my viewers. I was born in the 70s, so I grew up in the 80s. So I do remember, the original Superman movie with Christopher Reeve, which was just, I can't even describe the impact. I mean, there had been a few superhero, it was more TV shows than movies at the time. Like you had Lou Ferrigno in The Incredible Hulk. You had Nicholas Hammond as Spider-Man. Of course, Adam West in the 66 Batman. Which there was also a Batman movie, which is on this list as well with Adam West. But Superman the movie, the tagline for that movie was, "You will believe a man can fly." Because most superhero stuff was, pretty cheesy, right? It was Lou Ferrigno with the body powder paint. It was Nicholas Hammond obviously climbing up buildings sideways. There was no realism to it. But when you saw Christopher Reeve as Superman, you just felt like, oh my God, finally, you believed. And for the time, I mean, the effects were just absolutely mind-blowing. So there's a lot of impact here. I'm very happy to see Howard the Duck is not on the list, because that would have definitely been a 0 out of 10 for me. So I grew up in an age where there weren't comic book movies, really. We had movies once in a while. So the first and second Superman movies with Christopher Reeve, classics. Third and fourth movies, not so much, especially the fourth one. And then we just had a whole bunch of stuff like Howard the Duck, Dolph Lundgren from Rocky IV, Ivan Drago. He was in a couple of superhero movies, Masters of the Universe, and then he played the Punisher. Then we had a 1990 Captain America movie, which was just so terrible. Then, infamously, the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie, which was so bad, they never even released it. but you can actually find it on YouTube nowadays, just like you pretty much find anything on YouTube. And it wasn't really until 1989's Batman, Tim Burton's Batman, where, oh my, finally, right, you get a resurgence. So yeah, so I'm going to try to rank these just based on the movies themselves. So Black Panther. Black Panther was an amazing movie, and interestingly enough with Black Panther, I think it's one of the few movies, not just superhero movies, but just movies in general, where I honestly was rooting for the villain to win. Michael B. Jordan as Eric Killmonger was just so amazing. I mean, the presence, just, he has that gravitas. Like, you know, when you watch somebody on a big screen and you're like, that's not just an actor, that's a movie star. Like, for me, Michael B. Jordan is a movie star, right? And he was just so good, and his delivery and the lines he had and everything else was just absolutely fantastic. The movie was a spectacle. It was beautiful. Ryan Coogler did a great job directing the movie. And of course, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman did an amazing job as the Black Panther. As far as ranking it, I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10. I mean, Black Panther deserves a 9 out of 10. Let's see. Next one is Spider-Man Far From Home. So this is the second Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. So as far as Spider-Man go, there have been several variations of Spider-Man throughout the years. Just like I said, originally everyone forgets Nicholas Hammond, but Nicholas Hammond played Spider-Man on TV, and at the time it was cool. I mean, because, you know, we didn't know any better and we didn't have any better. Because you kids don't understand. Some of you may, if you do your due diligence. But it was not cool to be a comic book fan when I was a kid. In the 80s, you had to hide that shit. You were considered a nerd. Nobody would talk. Like, it was frowned upon. Nowadays, it's cool, right? Like, everybody and their mother has seen a Marvel or DC movie. The only thing that pisses me off a bit about the generation that watches these comic movies is they base their entire comic book knowledge on the movies themselves. So when you try to explain to them like actual comic book canon, they're like, yeah, but that's not what happened in the movie. No, like you try to explain like the actual Infinity Gauntlet comic book series. They're like, what are you talking about? Who's Lady Death? Who are all these people? What the hell is a Silver Surfer? Right? So that's my only like big nitpick, is how adamant this generation is that they know everything about comic book movies, but they only base it on the movies. They never actually read a comic book. I do a lot of debate classes, especially during COVID last year. I was doing a lot of online schooling. So I was doing debate classes with Marvel versus DC. And I had hundreds and hundreds of students last year. And I think out of all of them, maybe 2 actually read a comic book, right? Let's see, some questions in the chat. Hola, just out of curiosity, the new Suicide Squad isn't there. What did you think of it? If you have already watched it, of course. Obviously, I did. And I'll let you on a little secret. I actually liked the first Suicide Squad movie as well. I know a lot of people hated on it. The problem I find with DC movies is they have very poor execution of villains, right? Their villains are so bad, which doesn't make sense because DC destroys Marvel when it comes to villains. Marvel destroys DC when it comes to superheroes, because Marvel just has so many great superheroes. Whereas with DC, it's pretty much the core 4. You know, it's Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and then you can throw in either Flash or Lantern there. I mean, there are a few others, of course. Now Aquaman has become popular because of the movies. But really, they have a really small core, whereas Marvel just has so many heroes. But DC does have the better villains, in my opinion. So, did I see the new Suicide Squad movie? Yes, I did. What did I think of it? I thought it was amazing. I thought James Gunn did a fantastic job with it, and I loved it. It's not on the list, though. Adam West, in my opinion, is the best Batman, says Lee Hard Korgod. Hey, to each his own. My favorite Batman is Ben Affleck's version. Ranking X-Men is going to be very interesting. Green Lantern for the win. Really? Green Lantern for the win? I hope you mean the hero, not the movie. Have you seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series? Yes, I have. Some people got mad at me for calling them Infinity Gems instead of Infinity Stones. That's okay. Gems, stones, whatever. Anyway, moving on. So the second Spider-Man movie was absolutely fantastic. Tom Holland does such a great job. In my opinion, Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man, even though I have, a place in my heart, of course, for Tobey Maguire, having seen those when they came out. And again, this is before the whole MCU, right? Because the first Spider-Man movie, I want to say, comes out around 2000-ish, somewhere around there. I think the second Spider-Man movie with Tobey came out around 2002, somewhere around there. You guys can fact check that for me. Love Tobey. Tobey did a great job at the time, but I think Tom Holland has definitely surpassed him. The second Spider-Man movie, especially with Mysterio, was just absolutely fantastic. Solid 8 out of 10. Great story, great visuals, amazing acting. Gyllenhaal as Mysterio was great. Holland was fantastic. The entire supporting cast, just great, great, great movie. Next movie we have is Thor. So I'm going to assume this is the first Thor movie. I will admit, I was not a fan of Chris Hemsworth. Not Chris Hemsworth. I mean just Chris Hemsworth as Thor. When he first appeared in the Thor movie, something about just the hair and the makeup just really freaked me out. And the movie wasn't that great. It was fun, but it wasn't great. Then again, it was better than anything that came out in the 80s, of course. But the first Thor movie was not impressed with. But once we got to the first Avengers movie in 2012, he started growing on me. But once Ragnarok came out, Thor became my second favorite character after Captain America. Absolutely loved him. But the movie, the first one, I'm going between 4 and 5. I'm going to put it at 4. It was not a good movie. Black Widow. So Black Widow is the first pandemic movie that we got from Marvel. Did not do well at the box office, but then again, what box office, people? Why people complain about box office? Everybody who wants to crap on the Suicide Squad movie is like, oh, look at the box office numbers. Yeah, duh. Number one, they released it in theaters and on streaming at the same time after a year-plus long pandemic where people have gotten used to just watching everything at home. People are still scared to go out to the theaters. After they lifted the mandate in New York City here to wear masks, COVID cases have quadrupled. Emergency room cases have soared by almost 300%. So to blame it on, to say box office numbers prove that Suicide Squad was a bomb. Again, I don't know when the comic book community got so toxic. Like it's just, you don't have to crap on everything just because you don't like it. But Black Widow, the movie overall, didn't meet expectations for me, but I'll give it a 6 out of 10. That's being kind of generous. Batman Begins. All right, so there are going to be some hot takes from me when it comes to the Nolan movies. A lot of people may get triggered, but it is what it is. Like I said, I'm not gonna pretend, lie, or anything. So my issue with the Nolan movies is this. I think it is the worst representation of Batman in any comic book movie, including Tim Burton's '89 Batman, in where Burton admitted he never read a comic book, he never read a Batman comic and didn't care to. They gave Joker a whole backstory. They made Joker the guy who killed Bruce Wayne's parents. They gave him a name, everything. But I still love the movie because the movie just looked cool. and you finally got to see a Dark Knight version of Batman. Now, my problem with the Nolan movies is Nolan is in the same camp. Nolan also said he never read a comic book, a Batman comic, and didn't care to. His go-to was David Goyer, who's a comic book nerd, who fed Nolan like some of the different storylines, like Dark Knight Returns, Killing Joke, and all the different stuff that he took, parts of and put in the movie. So Nolan himself really knew nothing about Batman. So my big issue is Batman does not retire. Okay? Or if he does retire like he did in Dark Knight Returns, it's just after being Batman for decades and decades and decades. And his body is just unable to take on the toll anymore. If you really break down Nolan's Batman, he's Batman for a few months in the first movie in Batman Begins. Then the second movie, Dark Knight, picks up pretty much right after the first movie. Because the movie ends with the Joker card, and then he's fighting the Joker in the second movie. And that takes place over, a few weeks, a month maybe? And then he retires at the end of the movie, right? The hero they need, not the one they deserve. And he's retired for 5 years. And he's a broken man, apparently, because in the in the third movie, 5 years later, he's limping around with a cane and everything. And then he comes back and he's Batman again for another couple of months. So he's Batman in total for a year or so. And then he decides he's going to retire and he's going to live with Catwoman and have Alfred, creepily stare at him at the end of the movie. And he's going to let this kid that he met, who's also an orphan, and somehow the orphan knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman because he's got orphan eyes. He's like, so how'd you know it was me? I looked in your eyes. And I could tell. Us orphans can tell you're Batman. Right? And then he's like, I'm going to leave everything to this kid that I just met a couple of weeks ago, and he's going to be the new Batman, and his name coincidentally is Robin. And I mean, it's just terrible. Batman, if they had the ending where the ending is Bruce Wayne, Batman sacrifices his life to save Gotham, yes, I would have been okay with that. But adding in that extra scene at the end saying that, he retired off to Europe or whatever, just really, I mean, it's a poor representation of Batman. They don't emphasize anything on him being the world's greatest detective, which is what he is. He's the Dark Knight, he's Batman, but he's the world's greatest detective. He is based off of Sherlock Holmes. So I was not a big fan of Nolan's Batman. The first movie I thought was weak. The only good thing about Nolan's Batman movies were the villains. That's it. Scarecrow in the first movie, amazing. Heath Ledger as Joker is legendary, iconic. I mean, just mind-blowing. And Tom Hardy as Bane, for as much flack as that movie gets, Tom Hardy did an amazing job as Bane. Okay? So the villains made those movies. But if you take the first movie, which was just too much exposition, too much backstory, not enough Batman. The third movie, obviously most people hated the third movie for a plethora of reasons. You're left with the Dark Knight movie, right? The second movie, which most people will say is the greatest comic movie ever. Now, if you remove Heath Ledger from the equation, is that movie as great as you remember? Removing Heath Ledger, it's not. It's really not that great of a movie, right? Heath Ledger single-handedly, if they didn't tell me that he died of, an overdose, I would have said he died of spinal complications from carrying that goddamn movie on his back, right? So I think Nolan's trilogy is extremely overrated. That's basically what I'm trying to get at. And that's my reasoning for it. So Batman Begins, honestly, I'm going to put it at 4 out of 10. Just not a big fan. Guardians of the Galaxy. So is this the first or second one? I'm gonna say it's the first one. I was honestly so surprised by this movie. I was surprised that they even made this, because Guardians of the Galaxy is such a deep cut as far as comics. A lot of comic book readers don't even know of Guardians of the Galaxy. So I was extremely surprised when this came out, and pleasantly surprised as to how good it was. The first Guardians, I'm going to put at a 7 out of 10. No, you know what? 8 out of 10. Now, this one says Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which has not come out yet. That's coming out next year, I believe. But let's say it's Guardians 2. Guardians 2, I was not as big a fan. If it wasn't for Baby Groot, I mean, I don't know. I did not enjoy Kurt Russell in the movie. Even though I like Kurt Russell, I just didn't like him in the movie. But it was still an entertaining movie, but not as good as the first one, in my opinion. Deadpool. Deadpool is 9 out of 10, man. 9 out of 10. Deadpool is so good. Deadpool finally proved, yes, you can make an R-rated comic book movie, and it's still going to make a crap ton of money. People are going to see it. Ryan Reynolds, who I absolutely love, got his redemption from playing, what's-his-face, Green Lantern, right? And also, just like, oh, never mind, that was a different movie. But either case, love Deadpool. It was so good, and I agree. Just had to turn that alarm off. Sorry about that. Let's see. First Spider-Man movie, 2002. Thank you so much, Preston. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was 2000 or 2002. Let's see. I'm not going to do any spoilers about movies. I'm not going to go into the storylines, especially for the newer movies. If I do mention anything, I will try to say spoilers. Let's see. Oh, I'm glad to see someone who thinks the same about the Nolan movies. The only one I actually liked is the second one because of the Joker. Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. I know it's a whole different thing, but I'd like to hear your opinion on the Lego Batman movie, if you have seen it. Yes, the Lego Batman movie is fantastic. Me and Jakob, before the pandemic, we were going to the movie theater at least once a week, in 2019 before the pandemic, because I keep track in the app, of all our ticket purchases. 2019, we went to the movie theater like either 57 or 58 times. So we pretty much saw everything we could. But Lego Batman was so good. Such a great movie. All right, next on the list. What's next? Oof. Superman 4, Quest for Peace. So this was, oh boy, this was so sad to watch. So after Superman 3, Christopher Reeve said he was never going to play Superman again, because he did not like the direction of the Superman 3 movie and how they basically turned it into a comedy. Because the first Superman movie, for those who don't know the history, was directed by Richard Donner. And Richard Donner is an amazing director. And as pretty much simultaneously as they were doing Superman, they started filming Superman 2. And Donner was directing Superman 2. And that's the one with General Zod. And he shot pretty much 80+% of the movie. And then the studio decided to replace him with Dick Lester. Dick Lester's big claim to fame was directing the two Beatles movies, A Hard Day's Night and Help, which are great movies, right? They're fun, they're comedic and everything, but to put him in charge of a Superman movie just made zero sense. So they pretty much chopped up Richard Donner's Superman 2 movie. And actually, the ending in Superman 1 was supposed to be the ending of Superman 2. They just switched it up. So after 3, Reeves said he was never going to do it again, unless they brought back Donner. But I guess money, they offered him a crap ton of money, and he did Superman 4. And Superman 4 pretty much had nobody from the original cast. Margot Kidder wasn't in it. Gene Hackman did come back to play Lex Luthor, but even he couldn't save this movie. It was just a bad movie. I'm only going to I want to give it a 0, but I'm only giving it a 2 just because of Christopher Reeve, man. I can't do Christopher Reeve dirty like that. All right. Next one is Deadpool 2. Deadpool 2 was great. And Josh Brolin pulling double duty for DC and Marvel in doing, I'm sorry, not DC and Marvel, pulling double duty as Thanos, and then, what was his name in Deadpool 2? I forgot. Cable, right? So him pulling double duty and doing 2 different movies was pretty dope, and he was great in both of them, but he was much better in Thanos. The only thing that got kind of meh for me was the Lord of the Rings ending with him just dying for what felt like an hour. That was a little much. But otherwise, Deadpool 2, solid 7 out of 10. All right, now we get to The Dark Knight. So again, I've given you my opinions on the Nolan movies. But again, Heath Ledger. Whew. I want to put it 10 out of 10. But again, without Heath Ledger, this movie is... without Heath Ledger, this movie is maybe a 7 or 8. But he pushes it up to a 9. If it was just a better all-around movie, without all the plot holes, and I wasn't a big fan of the ending, I'm going to put it at a 9 out of 10 for The Dark Knight. But really, that's mainly for Heath Ledger. Superman 2, The Donner Cut. So much like the Justice League Snyder Cut, we had to wait for over 20 years, though, to get the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2, and boy, was it worth it. It is such a significantly better movie. I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10 for Superman 2. The Donner cut specifically, not the Dick Lester one, the Donner one. It's a much better movie. We get more Zod and the Kryptonians. We get a lot less of the shticky comedy. We skipped the whole Niagara Falls scene in the beginning, which is dragged on and was fairly annoying. They actually did a much better job with the whole Lois Lane Lois Lane Clark Kent, are you Superman? Are you not Superman? In the Donner cut. Let's see. Oh, Spider-Man 3. So again, Spider-Man 3 is kind of where the ish hit the fan when it came to the Sam Raimi movies. So number one, Sam Raimi directing a Spider-Man movie was kind of weird. But I was so happy for Sam Raimi because I was such a huge fan of Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. To me, Bruce Campbell is like one of the coolest dudes who have ever. It's like Steve McQueen and Bruce Campbell. Like as far as kings of cool, I just love Bruce Campbell. But the third Spider-Man movie, I see a lot of people hate on the movie for the one scene, right? When Peter goes quote unquote bad and he starts disco dancing. But if you really think about it, it made perfect sense. I know people hated like the disco dancing and dancing in the street and the slicked hair and all that stuff. But you're talking about a kid who is a geek, right? A kid who's never been cool or popular his entire life. That's his version of cool. He doesn't know what it's like to be cool. So for him, being cool is whatever he saw like in movies and stuff like that. So he's replicating like Travolta in Saturday Night Fever. He's trying to be cool, but he doesn't know how to be cool, right? So that's his version of that confidence, right? So that's why I didn't mind it as much. if you really understand the character, which is my big gripe again, is people only take their knowledge from the comic book movies. They've never actually read the comic books. But I do agree that it was just too much in one movie, right? They tried to fit too many storylines, too many villains. It was just way too much for one movie. I think they should have stuck with Sandman, because while seeing Venom was cool, the Sandman storyline was just so good. I'm just going to put it in the middle. I'm going to put it 5 out of 10. All right. Justice League. All right. So I don't know if they have the... Oh, they do have the Zack Snyder cut. Okay, so this is the original Justice League movie. Again, I am happy with any comic book movie because, like I said, I grew up in the 80s, and I wished, you know, we could have had comic book movies coming out every single year, multiple times, with the budgets and the respect they deserved. But still, yeah, the first Justice League movie, again, middle of the road. It had some good parts, but again, Joss Whedon just did not do a good job with it, because Joss Whedon, while I love the Whedonverse, I love Buffy, I love Angel, anything that Joss Whedon touches pretty much for me was gold. But in the last decade or so, dude's become a major asshole. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He's become a grade A douchebag. And he tried to recreate the 2012 Avengers with Justice League. So he butchered Snyder's vision and pretty much tried to recreate the Avengers, right? By making Batman into Iron Man, right? Having him work on all these different gadgets and stuff. Aquaman basically becomes Thor, and so on and so forth. Then we have The Dark Knight Rises. So again, I love the Bane fight scene. The Bane fight scene, I could break down for a good half hour, but basically, Tom Hardy's performance during that scene, I mean, every single line he has during that fight is epic. I mean, the shadows betray you because they belong to me. And his delivery, right? When he knocks out the lights and he's like, you think darkness is your ally, but you merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man, and then by then it was nothing but blind. And the way he delivered blinding, or the way he delivers, but we are initiated, members of the League of Shadows. You know, his deliveries and his lines are great, but still my favorite line is, the shadows betray you because they belong to me. And the fact that Bane just has no worries at all in this fight, that he could just narrate it and lets Bruce do whatever he wants because he understands that there's no way he could beat him. And even the guards are just standing around watching, right? It's just, and you fight like a younger man with nothing held back. Admirable, but mistaken. So just for Hardy's performance alone, without Hardy, again, this movie's like a 5, but because of Hardy, I push it up to a 7. All right. Let's see. Тут уже не знаю про Супермена 2. Wait. Let's see. Jonah Hex. I don't even know why the hell this is on the list. Jonah Hex. I guess they didn't put a 3 out of 10 because that's immediately what I thought was 3 out of 10. But Jonah Hex gets a 2 out of 10 from me. I don't even want to discuss that movie. The Amazing Spider-Man. So this is the Andrew Garfield version. So again, a lot of people always say, why are they always rebooting Spider-Man? Well, the short answer to it is because they have to, contractually. There have to be X number of Spider-Man movies that come out every whatever number of years. It's a contractual thing. They have to do it. It's just they haven't had success. Like, after Tobey Maguire, after the third one, I don't think Tobey really don't want to do it again. Raimi wanted to do a 4th movie. Toby wasn't into it, and after the all the issues with Spider-Man 3, they kind of wanted to move on. They moved on to Garfield. Garfield didn't even get a third movie because nobody was a fan of, even though I thought Garfield did an admirable job. The villains were weak. Jamie Foxx as Electro, and in the first movie, the Lizard, just not good. And I know, and I'm happy for the Flash, for the next Spider-Man movie. They're doing the multiverse. So we're getting, of course, the best villain from the Tobey Maguire movies is coming back, Doc Ock. And I guess they're bringing back Jamie Foxx as Electro because I guess he was the better of the two villains. So that's going to be interesting. The Amazing Spider-Man, the first one, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. But I'll push it up to a 6. I'll give it a 6. I'll be fair. Wolverine. So again, aside from Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man for a decade, Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine for even longer. I mean, I don't think there's anyone more iconic or more identifiable with a character and who is more perfect for a character. Hugh Jackman was born to play Wolverine. He was just so good as Wolverine. The Wolverine solo movies, though, Wolverine, I just put middle of the road, like 5 out of 10. Not terrible, not great. All right, the Suicide Squad. So this is not the Suicide Squad. This is Suicide Squad, the one that came out, I forget, what was it, 2017, with Jared Leto as the Joker. First off, let me rank it, and then I'll explain. So I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. I know a lot of people hated this movie. But number one, Jared Leto's performance as the Joker, you can't blame that on Leto, okay? Because a majority of his performance was left on the cutting room floor, okay? So that's point number one. Point number two, for everyone who says that he was the least Joker-like Joker, comic books and comic book history wants to disagree with you. If anything, he's one of the closest, if not closest, representations of what Joker really is. Jack Nicholson Joker was fun, but it was campy, and it was an homage to Cesar Romero's Joker from the 66 Batman, which is not the Joker. Okay, so let's get those out of the way. Was Jack Nicholson amazing as the Joker? Absolutely. Was he fun? Hells yeah. Was he the Joker like in the comics? Fuck no. Okay? Heath Ledger's interpretation of the Joker is mesmerizing, amazing, fantastic, very close to the comic book version. But still, it had a lot of interpretation on both on both the actor's part and the director's part, on Ledger and Nolan, okay? But still, the best acting depiction movie Joker is Heath Ledger. But Jared Leto gets so much shit where I mean, of course the tattoos were dumb. I didn't like the tattoos. But if you remove the tattoos, Jared Leto's Joker is so on point to especially the 80s and 90s comic book versions of the Joker. So people who give Leto shit, I guarantee you the vast majority have never read a comic book. Again, I know I go back to that point, but that is kind of the point. Everybody was fantastic. Captain Boomerang was fantastic. Harley Quinn was epic, of course. Everybody loved Harley Quinn. And I was not a big fan of Will Smith being in this movie as Deadshot, but even Will Smith was amazing. And Jay Hernandez playing Diablo was off the chains. Like, I am so sad that he wasn't somehow brought back for the reboot. The main weak point, again, was the villain. Joker should have been the main target and villain of the movie, with Harley Quinn being torn at both ends, right? That would have been a much more interesting movie. But I really liked Suicide Squad movie. Let's see. Honestly, Suicide Squad Joker seemed interesting. I still don't consider him a bad Joker because we barely saw him. Exactly. I honestly believe it was better than his Snyder Cut take on the Joker. I actually love the Snyder Cut take of the Joker because that conversation at the end between him and Bruce, that is just so. That is Batman and Joker having a conversation. It was so good. Iron Man 2. Love the first time it was the Iron Man movie. I assume it's somewhere here. Iron Man 2, not a fan. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. I love Mickey Rourke, but Mickey Rourke was just not good in this movie. The saving graces of this movie was the introduction of Black Widow and Sam Rockwell. I will watch Sam Rockwell in anything. Sam Rockwell is such an underrated actor, and there is nothing more satisfying in life than watching Sam Rockwell dance. If you've never seen Sam Rockwell dance, I implore you to go on YouTube and look at a montage of Sam Rockwell dancing. That white boy's got moves that are smoother than silk, baby. Wonder Woman 84. Wonder Woman 84. 5 out of 10. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman just makes my heart melt. She is just the perfect Wonder Woman. I know it's sacrilege, but even better than Linda Carter. And I grew up with Linda Carter's Wonder Woman. But I did not like that they brought back the love interest. What's his Chris, whatever his name is. I'm not a big fan of Chris Pine, right? I think it's Chris Pine. Not a big fan of Chris Pine in general, to be honest with you. Didn't like him in Star Trek either. And I really didn't like that they had to bring him back as if Wonder Woman needs a love interest. Overall, I mean, just a lot of plot holes in the movie. Not enough Wonder Woman also. But when we do get Wonder Woman, it's epic. And yeah, Kristen Wiig as Cheetah. Awful. Let's see. Next we have the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. So I put the original Justice League. Where did I put it? 5 out of 10? Yeah, 5 out of 10. So the Snyder cut, I'm gonna put it 7 out of 10. Now, I've been a part of many discussions, and while Snyder's cut of the movie was significantly, infinitely better, and especially the Superman scenes were so much better, and having Darkseid in the movie for the limited amount of time we did see Darkseid, Steppenwolf looked so much better. But it's still it was too long. 4 hours, way too long. I really am still pissed off that they included Cyborg in the movie when Cyborg is not a part of the Justice League, right? Keep him in Teen Titan movies, right? The fact that they didn't have Martian Manhunter as part of the Justice League. I know we got to see Martian Manhunter for like 2 seconds at the end of the movie, but it should have either been Green Lantern or Martian Manhunter instead of Cyborg. Then this could have been a 9 out of 10 movie. I just still think Cyborg is such a boring and weak character. And I think it should have been more Darkseid than Steppenwolf, especially since there's no guarantee that they're going to make they're going to give a Snyder a chance to make a follow-up to this movie. I think they should have gone all out with Darkseid. If they were going to do reshoots and everything else, should have been more Darkseid. And a lot of people in the Zack Snyder community are so toxic that it's not even funny. Like, it's bad. I don't even really like discussing things with people who are so adamant of, oh, my movie's a 10 out of 10 and all your movies suck dick. Mickey Rourke's best work, in my opinion, is The Wrestler. I agree. I'm still shocked that Mickey Rourke did not win the Best Actor Oscar for The Wrestler. I was so sure he was going to win. So sure. But Mickey Rourke does have a lot of great movies going back in the day. Pulp of Greenwich Village, 9.5 Weeks, Angel Heart. There's a lot of great Mickey Rourke movies out there. But definitely The Wrestler, I think, probably his best shot at having gotten an Oscar. All right. Jumping ahead. Oh, Green Lantern. Ryan Reynolds, I love you so much. You are in my top 5 man crushes, but I'm sorry, the movie sucked. I am so glad you got redemption in playing Deadpool, just like Captain America got redemption after playing the Human Torch in Fantastic Four. And Michael B. Jordan got redemption after playing the Human Torch in that awful Fantastic Four reboot, and he got to play Killmonger. So I'm glad that Marvel is into giving redemptions, but Green Lantern, again, I want to give it a 2 strictly because of Ryan Reynolds. But Green Lantern it's a 0. It was so bad. It was so bad. Let me skip over Venom for a second and just quickly put Ghost Rider here. I don't even want to talk about Ghost Rider. This movie was so goddamn terrible. Nicolas Cage, thank God he ruined Ghost Rider and not Superman. If you don't know and you've never heard of the story of Nicolas Cage playing Superman almost, Nicolas Cage actually got paid for playing Superman even though he never played him. He got $20 million, and his contract stipulated it's whether the movie got made or not. He got $20 million, and he never even made a Superman movie. But there is test footage of him in the suit, and it looks awful. It would have been heartbreaking. I think it would have killed Superman. I think, forget Kryptonite. If Tim Burton was given a chance to make that Superman movie, I think that would have killed Superman. But Ghost Rider, just god-awful. Venom. So the first Venom movie with Tom Hardy. Quite surprisingly good. I didn't think they would be able to make a good Venom movie, but I was so happy Tom Hardy got a second chance with Bane, but I think he did an even better job with Venom. I'm going to put Venom at a 7. I'll put Venom at a 7. There were a lot of weak points in the movie. But overall, just Tom Hardy and Venom, just so well done. I love the movie. Can't wait for the sequel. Constantine. I am so shocked and surprised and shocked to see Constantine on this list. I am so happy. Constantine does not get enough credit. Constantine is such a great comic movie, but people rarely talk about it. Kind of like Blade. I know, a lot of people, especially nowadays, think that the whole comic book craze was birthed with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. But no, it went further back than that. It went further back than Tobey Maguire in 2002 as Spider-Man. What really catapulted Marvel and comic movies was the first Blade movie with Wesley Snipes. Because that came out, I want to say, around 98. It wasn't a huge box office smash, but it became really popular, especially when it came out on DVD. And then the next movie was the first X-Men movie, the very first one, which also came out around 99, 2000-ish. Those were the two movies that really then allowed for, all right, let's take who's one of the more popular that's available and doesn't have a lot of stink on him, right? Because Batman still had a lot of stink on him after the Schumacher movies. Superman, so they said, hey, let's go with Spider-Man. and they hit a they hit a grand slam out of the park with Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi, and that what was then the catapult for the Nolan movies, and then eventually Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man. All right, so put some respect on Blade when you talk about him. But Constantine, even though I am not a huge fan of Keanu Reeves movies, I thought Keanu was fantastic in this. But Peter Stormare, at the end of the movie, as the devil, Satan, Beelzebub, Lucifer, whatever you want to call him, in my opinion, the best depiction of the devil in all of movie history. Peter Stormare is so amazing in that end scene. I mean, this movie was so good, it even made Shia LaBeouf tolerable. Constantine is such a great movie. I'm honestly putting it at an 8. That's how great I think it is. And deserved a lot better than it got. Eddie, how's it going? Glad to see you live. Glad to see you too. Will this be on YouTube later as a whole video? Absolutely it will. Let's see. Next we have Captain America. So, yeah, this is the first one, the first Avenger. Captain America, the first Avenger. So, when I saw this movie, I fell in love right away. I mean, living in a world. I mean, I know that, you know, he couldn't play Captain America forever. But I don't want to live in a world where Chris Evans is not Captain America. Like, Chris Evans is Captain America. I'll put it at a 7. The introduction of Chris as Captain America, Bucky Barnes, getting to see Bucky for the first time. Red Skull was fantastic in the movie. Just an all-around fun, great movie. A lot of people rate it really low. I don't know why. I thought it was fantastic. X-Men. Okay, so X-Men First Class. X-Men First Class was much better than I anticipated it would be. I couldn't see, you know, anybody but the original cast members, you know, Ian McKellen playing Magneto and Patrick Stewart playing Professor X. But I was pleasantly surprised. First Class gets an 8 out of 10 for me. Now we have Superman 2, the Dick Lester version. So look, even though the Donner cut was significantly better, Superman 2 was still a classic. I mean, it was everybody's favorite Superman movie, right? Even more than Superman 1. So I'm still, out of respect, gonna put it at a 7, right below the Donner cut. But I mean, General Zod, come on, come on. Avengers: Age of Ultron, or as I like to call it, Avengers: The Kind of Annoying Weekend of Ultron. The Age of Ultron, my ass. Come on, man. It wasn't no Age of Ultron. It was definitely a much weaker film than the first Avengers movie. I don't even know why I have a headphone plugged in, because I don't have to listen to anything. I guess because I'm just so used to reacting to stuff. Avengers: Age of Ultron, it had its moments, but definitely 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. I think my favorite scene was the scene when they were trying to lift Thor's hammer. And it was the first clue that Cap probably could lift the hammer. And I'm still of... Thor's reaction when he sees the hammer move when Cap grabs it is priceless. But I still think Cap actually could have lifted the hammer in Ultron. The first Fantastic Four movie, again, I mean, I liked Michael Chiklis as the Thing. I'm just a big fan of Mike Chiklis. I loved The Commish. The Shield is one of like my top 10 shows of all times. But Chris, of course, prior to playing Captain America, played Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. And I mean, I liked Michael Chiklis as the Thing. I'm just a big fan of Mike Chiklis. I love The Commish. The Shield is one of like my top 10 shows of all times. But Chris, of course, prior to playing Captain America, played And that was the first time I'd ever seen him. I think it was one of his first like big movies. And as soon as I saw him on screen, I'm like, yo, that dude is going to be a great actor. It was the same reaction I had when I first saw Edward Norton in Primal Fear back in like 94, 95. I was like, yo, this kid is going to be amazing. And I was right on both accounts. But the movie overall, it's a 4 out of 10. Not a good movie. Deadpool. I thought we already did Deadpool. Yeah. Oh, wait. Or is this Deadpool? Was this the extended cut, maybe? I don't know. But Deadpool, the first Deadpool, still a 9 out of 10. All right. What do we have? Oh, Dark Phoenix. The final movie of 20th Century Fox before it was sold off to Disney. So now, thankfully, the X-Men, the Silver Surfer, Doctor Doom, the Fantastic Four, they are all part of the MCU where they belong. And this was the final movie by 20th Century Fox. And it was the second time they were telling the story of the Dark Phoenix saga. And both times they fucked it up beyond imagination. This is a 0 out of 10 movie. Shazam. All right, Shazam was a huge surprise for me. I was hoping, because this was when DC was just like on a bad roll with movies, I was hoping they would do Shazam justice, and I think his name is Zachary Levi. Zachary Levi was amazing in this movie, so funny. The action, the comedy. Shazam is an 8 out of 10 for me. Just loved it. The second Ghost Rider movie. Yeah, hot garbage. 0 out of 10. Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is God tier. This is the first 10 out of 10. Spider-Man 2 is arguably, I know like a lot of people say Dark Knight, but Spider-Man 2 is always in the conversation when it comes to greatest comic book movies of all time. So Spider-Man 2, the story, the villain, Albert Molina as Doc Ock, just a perfect comic book movie. The Hulk. I think this is the Eric Bana version of the Hulk, the Ang Lee one. It was okay. I liked Ang Lee's style with the comic strips in the movie. Eric Bana is a great. I love Eric Bana, but again, I can't. Like I said, I'm not ranking it on emotion or nostalgia. It's 4 out of 10. It's in the same league as like Fantastic Four and Iron Man 2. Avengers. God, I don't have my glasses. This is the second one, right? Endgame. Where is Infinity War? Where's Infinity War? It's somewhere here, right? Here it is, Infinity War. So I think I should do Infinity War first. So Infinity War for me, no doubt about it, 10 out of 10. Infinity War exceeded all expectations. Infinity War was like when I saw Empire Strikes Back in the movie theaters as a kid. It's the Empire Strikes Back of the comic movies. The pacing, going from story to story to story to story without missing a beat, having so many different characters and still giving everyone the adequate attention. Thanos, Josh Brolin was epic. And that ending of him just walking out and sitting down and doing exactly what he said he would do and smiling. You know, as he said, go back and sit down and smile on my work. And that's what he did. And the bad guy won. Even though you knew, I hate people who have to be, well, we all knew they were coming back. I'm like, it's a fucking movie. Stop suspension of disbelief. That's the whole point of comic book movies, right? I hate when people try to get realistic with comic book movies. You know, we're talking about fucking talking raccoons, walking trees, dudes who can fly without propulsion, shooting lasers out of there. I mean, come on, man. You trying to get serious on me now? Fuck out of here. Infinity War was amazing. Endgame, a great movie. Just the first hour or so, very slow for me. Very slow. The second half of the movie is epic. First half, a little slow for me. But I did appreciate a lot of things in the movie, especially the ending. Seeing Chadwick Boseman walk out at the end of that movie is so difficult now. It's a 9 out of 10, but I think Infinity War was the better movie. Let's see. Spider-Man. So this is the first Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, Homecoming. This one, it was good. Not as good as the second, but a 7 out of 10. Of course, it was fun to see Michael Keaton in a comic book movie. We got a lot of movies. I'm going to try to speed it along, folks. I know we're getting in there, but again, this is something I'm so passionate about and love. Logan. The perfect ending. It's a 10 out of 10. The perfect send-off for Logan, Wolverine, for Hugh Jackman. Just a perfect movie. So good. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. I'm going between 6 and 7. I'm going to give it a 6. I hope the second movie's better. It has nothing to do with Captain Marvel, the character. I thought Captain Marvel was fantastic. It's just the movie itself. Again, very slow pacing to the movie. That was my big complaint. It's just not a memorable movie for me, kind of like Iron Man 2. The first Wonder Woman movie. That is it a 10 out of 10? Ooh, that's tough. I so want to put it at a 10 out of 10. But I think that just might be my bias. But it's definitely a 9 out of 10. That World War I sequence when she goes out by herself, if that doesn't send chills down your spine, I don't know what will. X-Men Apocalypse, so disappointing. Oh, so disappointing. Another one. My biggest desire now is seeing a Silver Surfer movie, because Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, it's right here. I'm only giving it a 2 out of 10 for the Silver Surfer scenes, because the few scenes we got with Silver Surfer were great. But seeing Silver Surfer and Doctor Doom in the MCU is the only thing now that I'm looking forward to that hasn't been done. But I was looking forward to Apocalypse, and boy, did they miss out. 4 out of 10. Batman 89. So this is the Tim Burton, Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson version of Batman. I've already talked about it, what I loved about it, what I didn't. For nostalgia purposes, I want to push it up to a 9, but I'm going to put it at an 8. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Gotta say, not a fan of the solo Ant-Man movies. Ant-Man and the Wasp, the only good scene was when his friend, I think was it Chris Pena who played his friend? When he does the whole like recap, that was the best scene of the movie. Otherwise, Ant-Man and Wasp is a 4 out of 10 for me. I just really had no interest in it whatsoever. Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie, the movie that started it all. Now, for its impact and everything else, I want to put it at a 10. And I think it deserves it. I think for the impact, the movie, it was a huge gamble. Robert Downey Jr. was not who Robert Downey Jr. is now. This was the Robert Downey Jr. like decade of scandals, drug abuse, waking up in strangers' houses, just scandal after scandal for Robert Downey Jr. It was a huge risk. to put him as the face of the vision that Kevin Feige had, and boy, did it pay off. But it was a huge gamble. And I am so happy because I've loved Robert Downey Jr. since the 80s. Robert Downey Jr. is one of the greatest actors of, definitely my generation. X-Men Days of is this The Last Stand or Days of Future Past? Wait, let me see the others. Where is... Oh no, I think this is Days of Future Past. These are so tiny, I can't really tell. I think this says The Last Stand at the bottom. Yeah, so this is the third X-Men movie. So let's say this is X-Men The Last Stand. The third X-Men movie where they try to do the Dark Phoenix story. And it starts off well enough, but then it's still a good movie. I did like it. I'll put it at a 6 out of 10. Daredevil. So this is the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. 2 out of 10. Just because I love Ben Affleck. But the movie was terrible. Guardians Volume 2. I could have sworn we did... They put Guardians Volume 3 on here then. I don't know why the hell. That movie hasn't come out yet, son. But yeah, so I'm putting it at a 6. Why the hell would you put Guardians Volume 3 on here? Let's see. Aquaman. Pleasantly surprised. I didn't think it would be as good as it was. Was it as great as everyone made it out to be in $1 billion movie? I don't think so. Jason Momoa is amazing as Aquaman. I love him. I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10, though. Ooh, Ryan Reynolds. Why the hell is the Green Lantern movie... Why are these movies on here twice? I don't get it. All right, whatever. Sorry. Man of Steel. Man of Steel is definitely an 8 out of 10 for me. I loved it. I know a lot of people didn't like it and were bitching about all the destruction. Superman would never do that. Number one, he did it in Superman 2, right? Eventually, did he lead them away? Yes. But he fought them in the middle of Times Square. He fought 3 Kryptonians in the middle of Times Square. Christopher Reeve did. Okay? So number one, it was done before. It has happened in the comic books. And plus, it's also the origin, right? So he is new to being Superman, right? He hasn't been Superman for, 10 years or 20 years or something like that. So he doesn't know yet exactly what to do, how to act. He's new to all these situations. And, yeah. Let's see. Which Spider-Man is this? Spider-Man... Oof, I can't really see. Is this the first Spider-Man movie? Oh, no, it says Spider-Man 2. So this is probably Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah, that's a 2 out of 10 for me. It was so bad. Jamie Foxx as Electro. It just didn't work. Sorry, Andrew Garfield. Birds of Prey. The Harley Quinn movie. 7 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. X-Men. So I think this, or is this Days of Future? I wish they would label these so you could fucking read them. I haven't seen X-Men 2. Oh no, here's Days of Future Past. Okay. All right. So let me actually just try to group these X-Men movies together just so I don't fuck it up. Let's see. Are there any others? No. All right, so number one, let's do Days of Future Past, which I think is the best X-Men movie. I love Days of Future Past. Just so great. Everybody's been playing the roles long enough to just be at their peak. The storyline is amazing. The Quicksilver, everything about this movie was just amazing. Amazing. This is, okay, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Again, middle of the pack movie. I think this is the first X-Men movie, because it looks like the DVD case to the first X-Men movie. The first X-Men movie is a 7 out of 10 for me, because again, it set the stage, like I said before, after Blade. But I think this is X-Men 2, X2. X2 is the best of the trilogy, 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 for X2. The Incredible Hulk. So this is the Edward Norton version, where unfortunately, I mean, as much as I loved, oh my God, I forgot his name. The guy who ends up playing the Hulk. You guys will have to hit me up in the chat for that one. His name is escaping me right now. Question: what is a superhero movie you want to see? I just mentioned definitely Silver Surfer. I really, really, really want a Silver Surfer movie. Silver Surfer after Superman is my favorite superhero. I think he said he wanted to do another. Thanks for the Logan points. Endgame is the Return of the Jedi for me. Yeah, Endgame is the Return of the Jedi, definitely. Ending of Wonder Woman was a letdown. X-Men Apocalypse had so much potential. It did. It had so much potential. Last Stand, yeah. So I want to ask, 7 out of 10 is Snyder's cut of Justice League, and 5 out of 10 is the first one, right? Absolutely correct. Man of Steel, my second favorite movie from the DCU Snyder started, just losing to Wonder Woman, honestly. Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it's Wonder Woman, Man of Steel, and then Shazam as my top 3. But yeah, anyway, Edward Norton as the Hulk. No, I know it's Edward Norton. I was saying the guy who replaced Edward Norton. That's whose name is escaping me. Salt and Pepper Hair guy. I love him. He's such a great actor. I can't believe I can't remember his name. But anyway, Edward Norton is notoriously known for being extremely difficult to work with. And he wanted a whole bunch of like script rewrites, and Kevin Feige was like, kind of like, Edward Norton, we love you. We'd love to have your name attached to this, but you're being a bitch. Fuck off. That's the TLDR version. I don't know if that's an exact quote. I still liked it. It was a good movie, and I wish Edward Norton had ended up playing Incredible Hulk and Dr. Banner. It's a 5 out of 10. It's a middle-of-the-road type movie. Mark Ruffalo. Thank you, Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, I would have definitely rather have had, I think, Edward Norton instead of Ruffalo. Having Norton and Robert Downey Jr. share scenes together would have been epic. Just two amazing actors. While Mark Ruffalo is a great actor, he's not at the tier that Edward Norton is as an actor. Batman and Robin, the Schumacher movies, and this was the worst of the worst. The Arnold Schwarzenegger one, with him as, oh god, Dr. Freeze. All the puns. Everybody, chill out. Freeze. Oh god. Yeah, sorry. 0 out of 10. The Batman. I don't know why this is on here. Because it hasn't come out yet. So I'm just going to leave it here because I literally haven't seen it. Neither have I seen Guardians Volume 3 because no one has. Superman 3. As a kid, I loved Superman 3 because it was just funny and it had all these pranks. And I loved Richard Pryor. I still love Richard Pryor. To me, Richard Pryor is the greatest stand-up comedian of all time. But as an adult, looking back on Superman 3, it was really bad. It was not Superman 4 bad, but it was bad. It's a 4 out of 10. Supergirl is even worse. So originally, Christopher Reeve was supposed to play Superman in the Supergirl movie, but there were some issues and he couldn't appear in the movie, but they still went ahead with it. And it is a terrible movie. It's a 0 out of 10. Don't even bother watching it if you haven't seen it. Batman vs. Superman, I loved. Batman vs. Superman is an 8 out of 10 for me. I don't care what anybody else says or thinks. I thought it was fantastic. I loved it. Everybody was shitting on Gal Gadot before the movie, saying she's too skinny. She's going to be a terrible Wonder Woman. She was epic in this movie. Ben Affleck as both Bruce Wayne and Batman, I think, is the best representation of both. Maybe Michael Keaton was a better Bruce Wayne, but there has never been a better film adaptation of the Batman than Ben Affleck's Batman. From the look of the suit, from the cowl, from the short ears, from just the presence alone of him, the body size, everything. It's Batman. You get to see Batman doing Batman shit. I thought the fight was great. The weak point, of course, was Lex Luthor. Facebook face guy was awful. He was an awful Lex Luthor. There's nothing else to say. He was the biggest letdown of the movie, and including Doomsday in the movie was kind of a bit much. It was a bit Spider-Man 3-ish. You know, it was a little too much for the movie. Watchmen. All right, so they got Watchmen and then the director's cut. I don't care either way. Both of these, for me, are 10 out of 10s. Watchmen is my favorite comic book film of all times. The graphic novel is definitely top 10 for me, as far as comic book, graphic novel, storylines, everything. And the movie for me was epic. I was blown away when I saw it. I was blown away the 20 times I rewatched it. I was blown away when I saw the director's cut. And this movie just never becomes non-rewatchable for me. I rewatch it probably a couple of times a year at least. I love the Watchmen movie. The story is just, Alan Moore's story is amazing. It was just unique. The perspective, you know, who watches the Watchmen. And if you want to talk about realism, it's as real as it can get. You know, if superheroes were just people, you know, aside from Dr. Manhattan, of course. Watchmen is a 10 out of 10 for me. Next we have, Civil War. Yeah, Civil War is definitely a 9 out of 10. The giddiness and nerdgasms of seeing Spider-Man in the movie was just beyond everything, but just the movie itself, the storyline. To call it a Captain America movie is a little unfair. It's almost like Avengers 2.5, but it's a 9 out of 10. The original Superman movie with Christopher Reeve, Superman the movie from 1978, it's a 10 out of 10. It's for over 20 years, it was the only acceptable superhero movie until we got 89's Batman. I mean, Christopher Reeve was Batman. Was Superman. No ifs, ands, or buts. Batman Returns gets a lot of shit, but I actually think, as far as the movie itself, it was even better than the 89 Batman. I'm going to put it at a 7 out of 10. Catwoman was fantastic. I could have done without Danny DeVito as the Penguin. It was just gross. But some of the scenes in the movie are like ripped directly out of the comic. Like the way Keaton acts when he's Batman was just so Batman, right? So I think it was actually an improvement in the characters, but the plot and the storyline was weaker than the first one. Thor, oh God. Do I put it at a 0 or a 2? I'm putting it at a 2 just because of Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, but The Dark World was just awful. Joker. Ooh, this is interesting. As a comic movie, I don't like it. As a movie, I love it. But the whole Red Hood storyline here, not a fan, because they kind of picked and chose what they wanted to pick from the Red Hood storyline, which is what the movie's based on. But again, it never claimed to be a part of the DCEU in any way. They claimed from the beginning, this is just a standalone movie. So it's tough because this is ranking comic book adaptation movies. As a movie, it's a 9 out of 10. As a comic book movie, it's like a 5 out of 10 or a 4 out of 10. I'm going to split the difference and knock it down to an 8. Yeah, an 8. I think that's very, very fair. This one is tough for me. Superman Returns. I loved Brandon Routh as Superman. I love Brandon Routh much more than Henry Cavill as Superman because he's more... I know it was an homage to Christopher Reeve, and it was meant to be because it was taking place after Superman 2. So it was basically ignoring Superman 3 and 4 was ever made. So it was supposed to be basically a continuation of the Christopher Reeve movies. That was the intention. And that's why he looks so much and acts so much like Christopher Reeve, but he wasn't doing an imitation. He was doing an homage, which is different. And I loved him so much. But the movie, the plot was terrible because it was basically a recycling of the first movie with the real estate scam. I thought Kevin Spacey was a horrible Lex Luthor. In all honesty, I don't think there's been a good Lex Luthor in movies. The best Lex Luthor, in my opinion, was Michael Rosenbaum in the Smallville series. He was the perfect Lex Luthor. He was an amazing... He was Lex Luthor. Gene Hackman's interpretation of Lex Luthor is weak. Obviously, Kevin Spacey was just not good. And the whole thing with the kid and the storyline. But I was just so sad Brandon Routh never got a second shot. And the whole Super Stalker stuff when he was like eavesdropping on Lois Lane. That was kind of weird. That was kind of weird there. 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. It's heartbreaking for me to put it there, but I want to put it much higher. Iron Man 3, 2 out of 10. Iron Man 3 was such a shit show. I don't know why people love this movie so much. I think they want to do it just, you know how sometimes you ask people like, oh, what's your favorite whatever, like song, or what's your favorite song of this band, or what's your favorite this, and they want to be kind of like special, so they want to say something obscure. And I have a feeling that's what it is with Iron Man 3. I think it's people just wanting to kind of act like, I think Iron Man 3, actually, I think Iron Man 3 is the best of the Iron Man movies. If you really think about it. You know what? Fuck off. They ruined the Mandarin, one of the greatest villains of all time. They turned the Mandarin into a fart joke. We don't get enough Iron Man in the movie. I don't even remember anything about this movie. I have no desire to ever rewatch it. Batman, the movie, so again, this is the 66 Batman. Adam West, full-length feature movie. It is such a fun movie. It's not a 10 out of 10, obviously, but it's a solid 7 out of 10. It is such a fun movie to watch. Suicide Squad, again. I guess this is the extended cut or director's edition. They could have just included other movies, instead of just putting duplicates of movies or movies. Like, Blade's not on here. But if Blade was on here, Blade would be a 9 out of 10 for me. If Howard the Duck was on here, it would be a 0 out of 10. Spider-Man the movie. So the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. 8 out of 10. I've talked enough about that, though. Thor Ragnarok. Oh my God, Thor Ragnarok. I love... you know what? Let me leave Thor Ragnarok for the last, because I want to end it on a high note, because I can't believe they didn't put Blade on here, but they put fucking Steel? Really? The Shaquille O'Neal Steel movie? Man, get your ass out of here, man. I love Shaq. I love the Big Diesel as a basketball player, but for fuck's sake, really, Steel? Batman Forever? Ugh. I tried to rewatch it to see if, but I couldn't get past the first 5 minutes. The dialogue, 2 out of 10. The first Avengers movie, so Avengers 2012. So 9 out of 10. It's not a 10 out of 10. It's not a change the world type event. It wasn't, a changing event movie. It was so good. It's such a great movie. The Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man movie, like, I'll push it up a little higher than Ant-Man and Wasp. I'll put it at a 5, but I just not a fan. Not a fan of Paul Rudd in general. Captain America Winter Soldier. Oh my God. Aside, because again, I don't consider Civil War to be a Captain America movie. It's Avengers 2.5. But Captain America, The Winter Soldier, is not just the best Captain America movie. It's one of the best MCU movies. MCU movies. Sorry, it's been an hour and a half. The storyline is so great. Seeing Robert Redford in a Marvel movie, obviously something that you know is nice, but it reminded me like of an older, like, you know, spy action espionage movie. You know, aside from being, it didn't even feel as much like a comic book movie as just a realistic like spy warfare movie. It was so good. Winter, 8 or 9. Yeah, I gotta put it at a 9. It's just such a great movie. Let's do the easy one here. Fantastic Four, the reboot. 0 out of 10. Fuck that movie. The Swamp Thing. I gotta admit, again, this is nostalgia. I love the Swamp Thing movie, but I mean, I'll bump it up to 6 instead of 5. All right. Doctor Strange, the only Doctor Strange movie to date. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is coming out next year, though. Super excited for that, especially based on some of the rumors. But the first Doctor Strange movie, I was not sold on Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, I loved him in Sherlock, but he sold me big time. Definite 7 out of 10. And ending it again on a high note, I didn't want to end it on Swamp Thing and Shaq Steel. Thor Ragnarok, like I said in the beginning, it's kind of full circle now, is what really just changed my whole perspective on Thor. I mean, number one, the movie is just so epic and marvelous to watch. Number two, great villain. See, that's kind of the issue. Aside from Loki, most of the MCU movies were really weak when it came to their villains. Like I said, that was one of my biggest complaints about DC is they have so many great villains, but they don't use them. Whereas Marvel, has so many great heroes. But just the villains were so weak until we got Killmonger, until we got Thanos, and until we got Hela. Like, those trio right there skyrocketed the villain game from Marvel's end. Hela was absolutely amazing. What a great character. She was so good in this movie. But I think I'm not even gonna. Wakaya Takiki, I can't pronounce the director's name. The job he did with this movie is there's nothing even to compare it to. After Thor: The Dark World, to be able to repair and restore Thor like this with Ragnarok, I mean, that alone deserves a 10 out of 10, but it's not a 10 out of 10. It's a 9 out of 10 though. I loved Ragnarok so much. Ruffalo and Hemsworth, Hulk and Thor together, Jeff Goldblum in the movie, Valkyrie. I mean, what was there about this movie not to love? Such a great movie. And there you have it. Those are my rankings. I'm going to save it. I'm going to post it on the Discord as well. Let's see if we had any other comments from me here. I missed your comments on Venom and expectation of the next Venom movie. Well, you can rewatch it. I'm going to be posting it on YouTube. If they call Joker or anything else, it would work just fine. It's an amazing movie, just not an original story, not an adaptation. Absolutely, 100%. BF Mert, agree on Iron Man 3. Hey, Teacher Eddie, just wanted to do a quick drop in to say that I love your vids. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Super Surge. I think the first act from Fantastic Four Reboot was pretty good, and I was enjoying myself a lot. Then the movie goes downhill so goddamn fast. Absolutely. And Hulk was in it too, which was super surprising. Yeah. So having Hulk and Thor in that movie together, I mean, they are just such a great pairing. So I really hope you enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun doing this. Again, I'm going to try to do more tier lists. Any suggestions? I think next one I want to do is the greatest wrestlers of all time. Just because I'm as big a mark for wrestling as I am for comic book movies. Thanks for everybody who stuck through this with me for an hour and a half. And thank you so much for all the support. Gonna shout out the Patreons now, and I'll catch you next time. Fam! And thank you to all the Patreon supporting Teacher Eddies, starting with the Chancellors: Elena G, Caleb, Laura, Phoenix, Blue Tech, Nazvanyu, Douglas, the Principals, Aaron Shepard, Spacey Doodle, Clement, Vijandra, Allen, Alex, King Panda, Freeman, Moody Kakadi, Nathan, Chad, Chris, The Boggle, Sophia, Robin, Lord Gandalf, Luna, and Moderately Upset Bro. I've been Teacher Eddie, and I'll see you next time. Ways to support Teacher Ready. Under each video, join button, YouTube membership, click, select level. In the description, Discord, join, have fun. In the description also, Patreon, click, select level. In the description, donate, PayPal. Merch store, t-shirts. Email addresses in the description, and yes, I know I look like Bert Kreischer.